It said 10 by the other clock says. Yeah, we were all.
Call the meeting to order. Please stand and join in the salute to our flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Nancy, roll call.
Okay, today is March 18th, 2014, and Director Benson,
Here?
Director Howard,
Here.
Vice President Duarte,
Here.
President Bonvie and Leopold.
Here. Any special announcements or activities?
Nothing tonight, although let me just note, as under agenda management, 3 or 4 of us are heading over to Dublin City Hall for their city council meeting at 7 o'clock to talk about the water supply situation. So if you all could manage the discussion and the agenda so as to give us time to be, so we're not socially late. Appreciate it.
Okay, public comments, seeing no members of the public will dispense with that. Reports?
Yes, President Bonvie and members of the board. A couple or 3 things. One is related to your board meeting schedule in April. The way the calendar falls, you'll have a regular meeting scheduled on April 1st. I won't make any comments on that. And April 15th. April 15th is, of course, very early in the month. I am thinking that we may need a special board meeting on April 22nd for 2 reasons. One is related to the water supply situation. You're potentially going to have to make some very difficult decisions in late April and early May related to the drought. I'd like to have that process start as late in the month as possible so we have the best information possible. Zone 7 will be meeting, I think, on the 16th of April, so we would have the benefit of having whatever actions they're going to take if we were to meet on the 20th, and plus it's tax day on the 15th. So I'm not sure if I'm asking you for a meeting instead of or in addition to the 15th, but I'd like to just check with your calendars to see if that's available, or maybe ask you to hold it on your calendars the 22nd of April. Okay.
Let's just hold it for right now. If we don't need to have the 15th, I would love not to need to have.
And there's 5 Tuesdays. There's 5 Tuesdays in April, so having it on the 22nd still keeps you kind of a couple weeks between board meetings. So.
Well, I can answer right now because on the 22nd I will be on a cruise ship.
Okay, well that will work for you. Well, anyways, it's just a thought as I'm thinking about the calendar going forward.
Okay.
The other, let's see, where am I? Judy Zavadil is sitting in tonight for Redora Biogdan, who's on vacation right now. So welcome, Judy. We hope we'll get you home early today. And under correspondence to and from the board, you have in front of you a letter from a Mr. Brian Conley. It's dated March 7th to DSRSD requesting a postponement of the board's consideration of his $8,000 claim against the district related to an auto accident. It's item 8A on the agenda. There's a copy in front of you. It was actually intended to be part of the agenda package. It was a copying snafu, so a couple of the items didn't get included with the agenda packet. So that's just FYI for you in the correspondence to the board. Under agenda management, I mentioned the City of Dublin. We'd like to be on time for that meeting. And then, depending on whether or not you feel there's a need for a discussion in closed session about the legalities of the rejection of claim, we may or may not need item 11A on the agenda. And that's all I have.
Committee reports. I know we're going to discuss the external affairs report later on. Let's move on to the minutes. Approval of the minutes of March 4th.
I move to approve.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes of the meeting of March 4th. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion unanimously carried. Special meeting of March 5th.
Move for approval of those minutes.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes of the meeting of March 5th. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion unanimously carried. Okay, the consent calendar. Items 8A through 8E, these items are typically non-controversial and can be adopted with a motion, single motion from the board. What's the pleasure?
I would move to approve the consent calendar for items A, B, C, D, and E.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded that we approve items 8A through 8E of the consent calendar. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Item 9A, accept water supply report, February 28, 2014.
Yes, President Von Heater, Leopold, and members of the board. Pardon? I am going to be giving you a very quick update. You'll see this simpler version tonight with the City of Dublin on our, is that the one that starts the slide? Go up to slideshow. Where'd you go? Slideshow, straight up. I can't see. Slide up. And then from beginning, over left.
Very far left.
Okay, very good. So this is a quick update, same format I've been presenting to you over the last several weeks, but very quickly going through this. In terms of precipitation, the one change that you'll have there, we've had a little bit of rain in March. It's actually slight, but even so, it's slightly below average when you consider the next 7 days or so are projected to be nice sunny days. March is probably going to turn out to be slightly below average for the month of March. We're at about 42% of average precipitation for this year. That's 42% of average, and average is kind of 50%, so we're actually running about 22%, if that kind of makes sense to you. So that's, average is not 50%, average is 100% in this presentation. So we're running significantly behind precipitation even for this year. In terms of snowpack, the storms have continued to be relatively warm, with more rain than snow. We're actually, in terms of snowpack, we're actually still running even with 1976-77 in terms of snowpack in this year. And of course, that's where the water supply originates from. And that's on the heels of an extremely dry 2013 and several dry years in a row. Long-term forecast improved a little bit. The top is the 30-day forecast, but it was made on February 28th, so almost 2.5 weeks ago now, and it was projecting an equal chance of above average, below average, or equal chance of precipitation. So in that sense, it looked like it was improved, but really March is, I think with the dry spell that's coming up, March is going to be a below average month. 90-day forecast is for below average precipitation. There's evidence of an El Nino event forming in the Pacific, but that's not going to affect our rainfall this year. That might be some hope on the horizon for next year, for an excellent year. Lake Oroville storage has come up. We've had some rain, whether it be rain or snow. As rain, it runs off into Oroville. Snow, it runs off a little more slowly. But Oroville has come up a little bit. It's no longer lower than the 1976-77 levels at this point in the season, but it's still a pretty serious situation. State Water Project, DWR did not change its allocations on March 1st. They're still projecting a 0% allocation for the year. They will make their final allocation on May 1st. There is still some hope that they will back off from zero, but don't bet on that. But they're still cautiously optimistic that they back off from zero. The significance of that is that changes the calculus significantly because now we have water coming in, not only from wells, but from the State Water Project, which really allows us to meet some outside demand during the hot summer times much better. Summary of policy level actions that have been taken already. No real changes there. Local water agency actions, no real changes there, except the City of Pleasanton tonight on their agenda has a update to their drought ordinance. They're not taking any action to trigger a stage 2 or stage 3. They're updating their ordinance that was last considered in 1991, setting the stage for a difficult decision that they're going to have to make in the late April, early May time frame. So there's an agenda item on their console for tonight. In terms of the region, Alameda County Water District moved from voluntary to mandatory use restrictions, odd even day watering type of prohibitions. They did that last week. Contra Costa Water District, I have March 17th out there on there. It's actually March 19th, tomorrow. They will be considering formally a 15% voluntary curtailment in their service area. So you can see this is settling in around 10, 15, 20%. And of course, for us, you know, the difficult decisions you're going to have to make will be which stage, in terms of rate structure, you want to place the district in. Stage 2 would correspond to 20% curtailment, and then considering what mandatory measures you may or may not choose to impose in order to focus on the curtailment of outside water use, which is really going to be the key element for us this year. So that's kind of where the hydrological conditions are, Dan. If you wanted to, quickly maybe mention a thing or two that we're doing in terms of the action plan that you think would be valuable. I know we haven't coordinated that.
Well, we've got a team right now that's looking at possible routes to run temporary recycled water pipe to the west side of Dublin. So they're actually looking at routes on the ground, trying to find a way to get those pipes over there. We also we have a letter that we're getting ready to send out. We're going to start targeting the Tier 3 residential customers with a letter telling them what their usage is, or what it was last year, what we need them to reduce their usage to. So we're going to try to get to those folks very soon, and those letters will be going out. We're doing a whole host of other things. I'm drawing a blank. There's an awful lot of things going on right now that we are working towards. The letters to the customers.
East Dublin.
East Dublin, right.
Santa Rita and West Dublin, or Santa Rita Jail.
Yeah, that would be a potential temporary pipe run to Santa Rita Jail. So that, as well as there's a number of customers that are close to the main lines that we may actually physically connect to a main line without temporary piping. So those investigations are ongoing right now. We're looking at cost estimates, to make those connections. We also have, I should also add, we have a tentative date on April 1st to take Dublin Unified on a tour of Doherty High School and also Cal High to show them that those two high schools have been using recycled water to water their infields, their baseball infields for 10 years in Cal High's case and less at Doherty High School. So hopefully we can convince Dublin Unified to go ahead and switch over Dublin High School after that meeting. We're going to give it our best shot.
Is there a lot of resistance to that?
Well, there is in some individuals, Ed, and I think it's because they have some misconceptions about recycled water, and there are a number of people at the school district that think that it's not safe, that you have to wear gloves when you handle it, and as if it's some kind of hazardous chemical or something like that. So there's some learning that we need to share with them. We need them to see that other people have been doing this and haven't had any problems with either the students or the parents that come to baseball games. So I think that's one of the reasons why we think the tour should give us some good feedback, and hopefully get us to a conclusion with getting Dublin High converted.
Maybe some kind of small chart or handout that lists the chemical qualities, the clarity, the level of stuff that's in it.
Right.
Just as an informational piece. I mean something real simple.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. We can do something like that, sure.
It might help.
Yeah.
And plus, we've had lots of, it's all recycled down in East Dublin. So they've been playing on those sports fields for years.
Right.
Yeah, Dublin Sports
In
Park,
the
those are
Dublin
little
Sports
league
Park.
fields, but
Right.
they're right there as well.
Well, they've been doing soccer, I think, down at Fallon.
I did talk to Dr. Hankey, and Dr. Hankey supports the idea, but he's got a number of the staff at the school district that are resisting it. So we're going to see if we
Of
can.
all the places that should be encouraging the scientific knowledge behind recycled water, we need to go to the school district board meeting.
Yep.
This is
Yeah,
ridiculous.
Let's let staff try to head this off and then.
Okay, we'll give you a chance at your meeting.
Yeah, let us know if you need any support. We're here to support you and support and educate them as well.
All right.
And
We're-
take charge.
Okay.
We have to.
We're hoping to solve this on the staff level, and
Yes.
we're going to give it our best shot, as I said.
The other thing I would note for the record, there's an update to the monthly water supply report. Basically, the information wasn't all available at the time of the agenda prep, so there's an updated version in front of you. Basically, it was just the projected runoff from the Sierra condition, and no surprises. I think we have the actual data. And that's about all we have for tonight. More to come.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, thank you.
We accept the water supply report.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we accept the updated water supply report. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion unanimously carried. Okay, item 9D, receive briefing of PERS actuarial report for DSRSD. And this is John.
Well, if I could, President Bonnie and Leaderbold, if I could find the copy of it that I put in here. I put it, yeah, so was that?
Yeah, just a little bit too far.
A little too deep.
Right there.
Yeah, there you go.
You're with me and then I'll start. Sorry about this. Can't read it. Well, maybe instead of doing that, you have a copy of the presentation in your packet. And this presentation is a follow-up to a
You can talk.
strategic item.
I'll see if I can.
Sorry about that. Strategic item of updating the board on retirement funding costs, because it's been in the news a lot the last couple of years. It is an important number. This year for the budget, we had about $1.6 million is just the pension portion of retirement, the PERS portion. So it is a pretty good sized number, and it's important that you are kept up to date on what's going on there. Thank you. So the overview is the district does contract with PERS to provide the pension services for the district. We are part of a risk pool, which means we're with other agencies, and the plan is at 2.7% at 55. Not sure that means after 10 years you would earn equivalent to 27% of your highest year's salary. And that's the formula that's used for calculating the benefit. As I mentioned, there's 181 agencies in our pool. We joined this pool a while back when we were less than 100 employees. You can opt out once you're above 100 and form your own. The larger agencies would be in their own risk, not a pool, but their own risk group. Every year, CalPERS goes through and does an updated valuation of the pension plan and the data they've been given. The report lags the data by 2 years, so we're going to look at an employer rate for 2014-15, and it's based on data from 2012. When you think about it, you take all the information of who's alive, who's retired, what they've earned, and then the actuaries play with that data and come up with the revisions that they need going forward. There is a new retirement plan that's 2% at 62. It was effective January 1, 2013. It does not have its own valuation report, and that rate has been set at 6.25 for the first 3 years of the plan to give them a chance to get through and start having people in it and start evaluating the plan. This part was from one of the reports with PERS. I found this interesting, that most of the benefits in the retirement plan are actually funded through the investment earnings. If I can find a little chart. So, almost 2/3 of the actual money that winds up needed at the end is from investment earning. If you think about it, if you have a 401k or something from maybe earlier times, you put the money in over life, it earns and accrues through time. So, the 66% or 66 cents is shown there is all the earnings on it. The key is the 21% is the employer portion, 13% is the employee share overall that goes into it. which is the seed money, if you will, for the investment that's paid in over time. The employees of the district do pay 10% of their salary for the retirement plan as an employee share in PERS of 8%. Plus we have 2%, which is the employee share of the enhanced retirement when we went from 2% to 2.7%. So this is paid by the employees. There are some agencies that the employer picks it up, but not here. We are paying that portion. The district pays a portion which is called the employer rate. A lot of fancy words in here, but there's a normal rate, which is the ongoing cost of the plan itself. They then calculate these amortizations of any changes in the plans. You'll see in a minute 2009, as we all remember that, when we had a pretty catastrophic drop in investments. PERS smooths that change so it doesn't get you all right away the next year. Those are amortized over between 17 and 30 years. The last item is a minor item, but it's an additional cost for choosing the benefits to be calculated based on a one-year highest wage, and you'll see that detail in a second. So these are the three components of the employer rate. You can see what the numbers are on this next slide for 2014. So the normal rate is 10%, and these are percentages of salary. The amortization of all the changes, the ups and downs that PERS has been working with is 6%. The surcharge I mentioned, or the cost of the program in 1 year, is 0.6%. Total is about 16.7%. You take out the employee contribution, the net cost to the district is just under 15%. The funded status, I'm sorry I'm running through this and give you a chance for questions in a minute. Funded status really is an indication of the relative health of the plan or its ability to meet its liabilities. A fund that is 100% funded at the time means it has enough money set aside today to meet the current liabilities of the district right now. So it's a snapshot in time. And if you remember, I'm going to jump ahead, the good news was when we did our OPEB report to the board, that was 100%. I think Bert pointed out to you, it's a snapshot in time. This number can change as you're going, but 100% is a very good indication that you've set aside everything that you need. The CalPERS actuarial valuation as of June 30, 2012 indicates that our pooled pension fund is 72.5% funded. Not 100, but there have been a lot of the states that we have.
It's come up significantly
Over the last couple of years. And this number does move. Remember, it's 2012. Now we've had a couple of good years, but we also have that amortization that we're working out of. So this is something the actuaries love and gives the rest of us headaches on an ongoing basis. Just for information, this is what the employer contribution rate has done over a couple of years. There's a spike there up to wonderful 19%. You can see up in here, that's 2011. You'll notice that's 2 years after 2009, after the market collapse. So it was PERS attempting to adjust and not catch up, but get the impact right away. We dropped the next year because we paid off a liability called the side fund, which was simply said our cost of moving into the 2.7% fund. It was a cost that PERS calculates for moving between one plan and another. So we paid that off, and it significantly dropped the contribution rate. But you can see now the last couple of years, the rate's creeping up again. And again, that's some of PERS smoothing the increases coming in so people can appropriately plan for the rates and their costs.
Is this district specific, or is this?
This is for us specific.
Okay, specific.
And then the outlook for the next couple of years, 14, 15, and 15, 16. Those of us, I think, sitting here are all classic employees. That's ones in the current plan. And that rate for 14, 15 will be just a tad over 16%. But they're projecting it to go up again next year to 17%. Again, the new employees under the 2% plan at 62 will stay at 6.25 until they have a chance to evaluate. But I think that might take a little bit to get some numbers. And we actually have our first employee now who's covered by the plan, a new engineer that's on the staff, so it's some fun. Another one in a month. So I guess over time you'll see these rates will start to blend, but it'll be over time. So there's still changes that come through in the meantime. Again, relativity on an annual salary of about $11 million, a 1% increase is $110,000 every year. And calling it future impacts. So the future is now. PERS was going to look at future mortality rates. They were going to look at a change in the discount rates. That report actually came out a couple weeks ago. I guess the good news and the bad news is we're living longer. PERS realizes that. They've done a calculation of that living longer, and the impact is between 1% and 2% on the rates. The one item, the discount rate, what that had to do with how much risk PERS would take on investments, and we said simply they narrowed the band on the risk. They didn't want to take too much risk in an up market or too much maybe that would be impacted in a down market. I think learning a little from 2009, but they kept the targeted return rate at 7.5%. So that hasn't changed. What they've taken out through the investment policy is they hope some of the high ups and downs out of it. So these are items that they've been watching for a while. They've talked about the blended rate that I talked about, maybe later on, changing plans as more people get into the new plan. But that's more down the line. Right now, the trend is the costs going up for each of these. There are some other issues that could impact it. Luckily, my staff, Karen Baden, helped out with the READ initiative. Evidently, he's pulled that for right now. That was, if you remember, the San Jose mayor talking about possibly having an initiative that would allow those to go through and change benefits going forward, not necessarily going back, but change for everybody going forward. But that he's having trouble garnering votes and pulling back, and we said maybe we'll revisit this in the future. The other item up there is impact of member agency bankruptcy on PERS. This is, if you're reading any of the news, it's a lot of topic. San Bernardino, Stockton are ones that we read about locally, but there's a whole new, I think, law coming up in this area, so it's kind of a wait and see how it really impacts different places. And another issue that could be coming up is reporting requirements, pushing PERS maybe into separating some of these pools a little more, because they're going to have to report more on each agency as we go forward. So I think that's it. If there's, I know I ran through this quick, but we've talked about a lot of
Yeah, if I could just make 2 quick points. One is the impact, the significance of us being in a pool. The way, because we're in a pool, we can't tell you what DSRSD's percent funded for our pension is. PERS can't. Nobody can tell you that right now. All we can tell you is that we're in a pool at 72%. The sort of part B to that is, let's just say you had a chunk of money laying around and you wanted to, pre-fund that amount. It's not a wise thing to do, because all you do is help out the pool. You do not help out your individual agency. agency. So you do not want to pre-fund to do that if you had any money laying around. That's the significance of being in the pool.
But are you prevented from setting this, if you had that money, from setting
You
it
could set it
aside
aside
here?
on your own account. Yes, you could. That assumes, but the thing you don't know is, you don't know how much to set aside, because you don't know if DSRSD is maybe at 87, the pool is at 72, maybe DSRSD is at 87%, maybe DSRSD is at 53%, you know, pretty significant difference in how much you want to set aside. You don't know that information, you know. That's what John alluded to at the end. FERS is going to be developing more reporting. They're obligated to do so for various reasons. So as the next couple of years unfold, we may get a little more insight into what this agency's unfunded liability is.
But under their present setup, they don't have that capability.
They do
Right
not.
No, and everybody's, as Bert said, in one pool, but the pressure is coming more from GASB, the financial reporting people,
I'm not surprised.
to do more reporting, because that and the credit agencies
Right.
want to know, because the cities that are in trouble that, you know, haven't been paying, you know, or they've been paying employer and employee shares and everything, if they're poorly funded, they've got real problems.
Well, does the money come out of the pool? Do you really have your own account? I mean, you don't have your own account, so what difference does it make? Whether you're, let's say DSRSD was at 87%, the pool's 72. The 72 is the only number that matters.
That's right. That's
At
right.
this
Because
point,
you're
yes.
taking money from this pool.
Except for those couple little surcharges that are specific to DSRC.
I mean, their job is to make that pool whole.
Yeah.
You know, like Bert said, we're only as good as the pool and we're restricted by the pool. But I think they are looking, there's pressure to start breaking it apart. Some of the changes they've made administratively in the last year have been pretty powerful with the reporting they've gotten. There was some hiccups, but they did a good job. But this next one is really exploding everything even more. And think of it, you do an actuarial reports on everybody. So,
The mathematics must be amazing. Thank heaven for computers.
thank goodness for actuaries.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think as the papers have noted in countless articles, we, as a district, don't have any leverage, if you will, on the PERS's assumption of 7.5% ROI, and that's been told, they've been told numerous times that that's not realistic. So,
No, but remember, that's a long-term target. But what they're doing is that smoothing that I talked about earlier. When they don't meet things, then they're spreading it over
they're leveling out
over time.
the
So
impact.
that's why you're seeing, the trend the last couple of years going up, because it catches up eventually to pay the fund. Just the same thing as, don't expect a big drop next year because 2013 was such a good year. You know, they take that, okay, they've learned, they're gonna hold that in the pocket for this year, which may be a little.
So as far as the district is concerned, since we only have one new employee under the new program, new plan, any savings under that new plan's parameters, we're not going to see any benefit of that for years.
Well, it depends on how quickly you have retirements. I mean, we're looking at potentially, maybe a third of the district retiring in the next 4 to 5 years. So you can see,
Yeah.
And if you talk to the senior managers around the state, they're actually very concerned, as Dan had his event to kind of encourage people to get into the industry. They're very concerned that we have nobody not nobody, but we have fewer people that are in the industry that will come in. We have so many retiring, there's a small panic going on because we have nobody to come in. There I go again with that. Nobody, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
It's
no, I
not
know what you
nobody.
mean.
Yeah, things don't turn out to be as bad as you might. I mean, the aerospace industry went through this. They had this bimodal curve if you look at age distributions. And it all worked out.
Well, eventually you end up hiring people that you just have to put more training time into. That's what it amounts to, so they have some experience.
But to the point Bert was making is the change could come a lot quicker than, an amortization curve.
Yeah, the positive change rate district will come from the blending of that 6.25% rate and the 16% rate as new employees come on board and as existing employees retire. That's where the district's going to see the quickest change in things.
And the hard part's not finding bodies, it's finding people with the right backgrounds.
Finding the right people.
Yeah, education. There's always bodies in it.
Okay, any questions for John?
Well, we do this, just to close it, we do this periodically for you. We're going to do it on, it's an important issue in the public sector, as we all know. So it's called for in our strategic plan that we do this sort of briefly once a year for the board. So at least you're aware of where the district standing is as best we can decipher it given this pooling concept.
Thank you very much. Move on to our last agenda item, item 9C. A report of the Tri-Valley Utility Coordination and Integration Study.
I think maybe President Von Heater will start this off. It's labeled for the external affairs, and I think the real purpose for this thing is to allow those two committee members to brief their colleagues on the board as to what transpired and their opinions on things at the meeting of March 5th over in Livermore. We're not agendized to take any action on this matter. This is just to kind of get the discussion going. What I would like from the discussion is a little bit of direction from the board as to how or if you would like to see further discussion of this topic in front of this board or in front of its committees. There's been talk about a workshop in May. There's been talk about special external affairs committee meetings. I just need a little insight as to how deep you want to go into this and what the process is so we can appropriately meet your needs.
The External Affairs Committee report should be very short because all of us were
I
there
know, that's
except
just, all of us, and the person that wasn't there is here tonight, so.
So you all heard it.
we all heard it. When all started out, I frankly was a little bit surprised at the direction it went. I think we scared them with the $250,000 report, but I think it would be good to have a workshop where we can at least go over some of the alternatives and find out what's happening with the contract and not take up a board meeting. That's my thought.
I would agree. I think, and Bert, you briefed us at one of our at the External Affairs meeting that there was some resistance out there. I think many of you were there, certainly all of us. So I wasn't too surprised at some of the commentary that was made, but it's clear that, to me, my opinion, is that the consolidation of the agencies is a long time away to get done. There's just too much politics involved. There's too much turf protection involved. But as I said, they asked for comments from the DSRSD. I would certainly hate to see that we spent $220,000 and then stop because, well, we're already working and then things not, the system's not broken and we're providing good service. And that's not good enough. That's not good enough. There's overlap. There's room for improvement. And the report outlined one key item, and you can certainly consider the reciprocal services agreement. And that, absolutely, I would hope that we would support wholeheartedly and advise staff and support staff in anything you can do to accelerate that process.
And please let the independent know it's not a JPA.
Yeah, I know, I saw that.
Good. Pat, comment?
Yeah, well, I was there watching. I was kind of disappointed. got the same same impression of the collective attitude was just leave it alone. But to me, there's real money to be saved. I mean, they said, oh, maybe 5–10%. Well, that's a lot of
That's a lot of
money.
money when you add all the budgets up, huh?
But it wasn't implied, there was nothing to back up those numbers.
Yeah, I
So
mean-
it could be more.
Well, it could be less.
Just
I
lay
don't
the,
know.
all you have to do
Keep
is
it
lay the
more or less.
budgets out, you know, on a spreadsheet and compare salaries. You could,
Well, we're talking about $1.3 billion worth of infrastructure. We're looking at 40 admin jobs.
I
If
was
we
so
look at the
frustrated with the, if it ain't
I
broke,
learned a lot.
don't fix it.
If it's not broken, don't fix it.
Yeah, that was so short-sighted.
You know, what bothered me was kind of opposite of Ed is $250,000 out of a total budget for the district of $114 million.
Right. 50,000 is cheap. It's very inexpensive.
Yeah, well, it's actually 0.2%, 0.2%. If that study was focused in the right direction, I think would be a useful investment. Obviously, we're not going to do that, but there was no support to do that. But maybe in a year that will be. But another thing that bothered me was everybody was talking about how great we're doing, which is true. But we're doing this as a growth community. And this, all the cities are growing. This district's growing. Zone 7's growing, and we're getting what I refer to as easy money, development. And someday that easy money is going to go away.
Mhm.
And so things are going to be different. We're all in a steady state.
We're built out.
Yeah, we're built out. And so I don't think we'll be doing so great when there's not that easy money. We should be using that easy money to fund studies like this while we have.
And we should be looking after the constituents and what's best for the community. And what's best for the community is more fiscal responsibility and making sure that the services are provided accurately.
And on an even higher
Efficiently.
level, we should be addressing the water needs on a watershed basis. And we've ignored that through all the growth of all the agencies. I mean, if you really want to get the Sierra Club involved, convince them of that. But it was so disappointing to see that, well, we're doing it just fine. I'm sorry, I don't think that's in the best interest of our constituents at all, or of our earth that we're supposed to be somehow protecting. I saw a poem thing on the newspaper years ago, and for years I had it taped on a lamp on my desk, and it said, we did not inherit the earth, we're protecting it for our children. And I totally believe that. And we're leaving them a better one than our parents left us. But why stop?
But I think we should have received the report, and had I been thinking, I would have said, just receive the report, that's the action. And I think the action part of it kind of took us all by surprise. Because the action was truly just to receive it, not to make a decision that night.
Well, and then there's this discussion of who put that word on the agenda anyway, and we know where Mr. Marchand wanted it to lead, and we know where his loyalties lie. But speaking for me, as long as I'm being blamed for bringing this to a head, and I love Sarah's question. Mona wasn't going to tell her either. But anyway, I just think we need to have a little bit of a workshop, plan out some things we can do. We have a theoretical whole year before we can come back and discuss it again. So maybe there's some things we can do a little bit more.
Should external affairs take another look to decide what the board should do?
I think it's a workshop at this point. I said 4 of us were there. We all know what's going on. I think we need to bring in Director Halkett.
Yeah.
And I think all 4 of us could do that in a workshop, and that would probably be the best at this time.
Speaking from my perspective, I think this issue is definitely at the full board level right now.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
eventually,
We all
coming out of the
concur.
workshop, there may be a couple of things to do, and you may want the committee to follow up and make sure they're handled properly. But at this point in this process, I think it's really something the whole board.
Yeah,
wants to
I think
do.
so.
Okay, if that's okay with everybody, then let's just schedule a workshop at this point.
But we'll target kind of the May timeframe, depending on how drought action and everything square up.
Sounds good.
Some time,
Yeah,
that's
that's
the
good.
timeframe we're targeting for.
We'll be busy dealing with the drought.
Yeah. Well, and the question I wanted to ask, and I didn't because I thought it would just cause more problems, was I think if it weren't for the drought, maybe that discussion would have gone in a different direction. So, and the $250,000 estimate for the report. So, okay, are we then, yeah, the direction, I presume. Yep. We do not need the closed session, I presume, because he's, I'm going to put it off. Okay, then if there's some items from the board members, Pat? Okay. Ed?
Just want to report that on the next day, May 6th, Dan Gallagher and Carol Mahoney from Zone 7 made a presentation to my Rotary Club, San Ramon Rotary Club, and gave us a condensed version of what we received here at the board the month prior. I think it was well received, some good questions that came out of it. We had a pretty good attendance, so I think 40 to 45 people, if I remember correctly. So I am reaching out to the Doherty Valley Rotary Club because they would be particularly
Yep.
relevant in discussing this, that report. So that'll be my next outreach to have Dan and either Carol or Amparo make a report. But very excellent presentation, as always.
I'd like to thank Jeff, Sue, and Joyce, and Ken, and all the guys that and their families that participated with the parade. That was fun. So I took my puppy with me, and Oscar the Otter, Ken the Oscar the Otter man, it was just really fun, and I would hope more of you guys would join me at some point. So maybe we get a car or something.
Yes, thank you.
We'll get a car, or I can get a cart with a pony.
I'll do whatever you want as long as I don't have to walk. This is actually the first time in 31 years I haven't walked in the parade.
Wow.
I just couldn't do it this year. I rode in a car.
Well, I thanked everybody for their water savings too, because I think, and as we go into this, everybody's water savings has really helped us. So I thanked everybody, and as we shouted our message. But thank you.
Okay, anything else? I just have a couple of things. Bert, I think you got the letter from LAPCO regarding assistance in funding the,
Yes, and it's on the External Affairs Committee agenda for next week. I felt that I need a little policy level support. It's
Okay.
sort of a discretionary item.
okay, sounds good, as long as it's there. Also, I went to the East Bay Leadership Council presentation, afternoon presentation on the BCPD. And I was very, very, very surprised at the fact that there is not any kind of cooperation, that's the wrong word, any type of support, 100% support for the plan, or lack of support. Everybody's taking different approaches. Some people are, all right, some people are actually fighting it. So I just wanted to say that in the near future, not too far away, we need to be talking about the BCP and what its effect is going to be on the communities that it's going to take the tunnel through. It's devastating, and it's not going to improve our water supply nor our water quality. We are doing all of this, I can't even remember the price tag, for the fish. So I would like to take it up at some point in the future. It was a good meeting. We were 4 hours in the meeting, so I know we want to get going. If there's nothing else, I'll adjourn the meeting.
celebrate.
Okay, tell us how we look.
Fine.